Avenue Virtual Pupil Leadership Team, Week 3! Today we are going to be looking at a key question: what is democracy? It's not as straightforward as you might think, so keep watching. It's really interesting. So hopefully by now the Year 5-6 representatives have been elected and have started the QR code challenge. If not, please go back to last week's video to find out what should be happening. And while we wait for that to be completed, we are going to be looking at a word that we take for granted a little bit. Is the word democracy, and what exactly does it mean? I went out and I asked a few of you what you thought it meant, and you said it's when people get to choose, when people get to make decisions, when it's fair and we all get to speak. And you are right. But it's even more complicated than that sometimes. Did you know that there are at least 8 different types of democracy? 2 of which we're going to look at today. The first kind is direct democracy. Direct democracy is when citizens, people, get to vote for a policy, an idea, directly without any representatives or houses of parliaments or councils or groups of any kind. If the government has to pass a certain law or policy idea, it goes to the people. They vote on the issue and decide the fate of their own country. The people can even bring up issues to be voted about themselves, as long as most of them agree on what idea to bring up. So people aren't watching other people make ideas and laws for them, they're making them themselves. A country that manages to do this is Switzerland. When the population is small, a direct democracy doesn't seem like a bad idea. Switzerland, for example, has had a long history of successful direct democracy. In certain places of the country, they still have Landsgemeinde, and apologies for my German pronunciation, I'm doing my best, assemblies where people come together in open air on a certain day and vote on the laws of their society. Can you imagine us at Hill Avenue all getting together on the playground and talking about the ideas that we wanted and having a big vote with all 300 odd children together on the playground? I want you to think about whether that would be the best kind of democracy for us at Hill Avenue, or whether there is something similar or simpler for us to do. The second kind of democracy is representative democracy. This is where people choose to vote for who will represent them in Parliament. This is the most common form of democracy found across the world. It takes advantage of the expertise of the representatives to make decisions, freeing everyone else to do something else. Say, for example, you can be a doctor all day, or you can be a bus driver, or you can work in a shop. You don't have to be thinking about the ins and outs of whether or not we should have high or low taxes. It's their job to do that thinking for us. Like in our Parliament, where all our representatives sit together and talk about the best way forward for our country. The downside of this form of democracy is that the elected government may fail to represent some groups who may get forgotten about. They may need to run campaigns like Black Lives Matter, or form charities to speak up for them, such as Age UK, who look after the ideas and interests of older people, to make themselves heard more clearly. We call these interest or pressure groups. Most of the democracies of the world consider themselves to be representative democracies. What kind of democracy does Hill Avenue Academy have in their pupil leadership team? Are we using the best sort of democracy for us, or do you think we should be using a different sort of democracy? That's a discussion I'd like you to have with each other. So, in summary, today we have discovered that there are at least 2 types of democracy. We have looked at the difference between direct and representative democracy. Thank you for watching, and I hope that your pupil leadership team have been in contact with you. If not, they will be shortly.